Hey guys, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the newest episode of Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 13, Date of Death. I suppose it's a fitting title, it's okay, it works in with the episode. I'm not going to complain about that, because everything else in this episode is worthy of complaining about, might as well not pick on the title. To start out, let's just talk about the good and bad of this episode. So, the good stuff, I suppose the only pros of this episode would be what's not in this episode. We did not get Nick in this episode. We got less Madison than usual, so that might be considered good. But everything else in this episode is just the basic crap that we've been used to of Fear the Walking Dead, only slightly more boring. Just every little scene is just like complete crap. It's like watching dirt, just staring directly at dirt. Only sometimes in dirt, when you're staring at dirt, you see like a worm move or something. This didn't have that. There was no worm moving in Fear the Walking Dead. It was just absolute still dirt. Crap. Useless. I can't even begin to just say how bored I was while watching this, but I'm going to start being boring if I just continue saying how boring this episode was, so let's move on from there. The bad stuff of this episode, we had quite a few characters ruined, actually. The new characters were ruined. Chris seemed like he would be okay. Now I think he's a slight bit ruined. And Travis, though he's been horrible throughout, I feel like they've made him even worse in this episode. Just like, now he's the worst character. I would say the worst character. I cannot stand him one bit. Another bad thing about this episode, there is like no action. There was not even a full minute of action. There was like 10 seconds of action. That's just them tackling Travis and then shooting the guy in the head. That's it. That's all of the action, all summed up in what could have been like a 1-minute scene of the entire episode. This episode could basically be summed up extremely fast. They did not have to fill it out to 40 minutes long. If this was a 10-minute short, it would have worked. But this was 40 minutes. We're talking about 40 minutes of something that would be kind of pushing it by filling up 10 minutes worth of it. Because all we see in this episode is that they want to kill a guy who's wounded, and then they do it. And then, Travis gets to his wife. That's it. That's it. That's all we got in this episode, and I just summed it up completely for you. Okay. Another thing that was bad for it, Madison talking about what happened to her husband, to Alicia. Like, what was the point in that? Why do we have to see 10 minutes of her talking to Alicia about this? It's just complete boredom. I could not stand that conversation itself. I just blanked out and glazed over as it was happening. Then I had to watch it a second time to write down what happened, and it was a complete waste of my time, and I glazed over the second time too. So, upon second viewing of this episode, I can tell you that it does not get better the second time. It gets worse, because you can expect what sort of crap is coming. At first, you're like, you have some hopes that there will be something, but then when you watch it a second time, all those hopes are gone, and all you're seeing is this absolute diarrhea being sprayed onto the screen. That's just it. Okay. So, another terrible thing about this episode is, they made us feel like, or at least me, feel like I wanted James to die, just so that we could move off this damn farm. Everything that happened on this farm was just boring. Besides what happened in that other episode where they shot the farmer, everything in this episode itself was just, blah, 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 blah. Oh, he's shot, let's take care of him. Oh, he's not going to heal, we better take care of him. I don't want you to take care of him. I'll take care of him. And then boom, he's dead. And, well, that's it. End of episode. I wanted them to get off of this farm so badly that I just wanted them to shoot him at the first chance that they would have, but they didn't. So we had to just put up with that crap. Okay. What else was terrible? There was no action, but there was also not one single threat of a zombie in this episode. I think there was only like a quick shot of walkers in this episode. You see them like in the distance while Alicia and Madison are talking, and that's it. We're looking at a Walking Dead show, right? This is supposed to be zombies. This is supposed to be the undead. But all we see is people talking, people being people, and then some threats between people. You know what? This could have just been a post-apocalyptic show. There was no need for walkers. They've already pretty much taken care of the walker problem by just smearing blood and crap all over themselves. and that's basically the cure. So what's the point in having anything else? Let's just make this an apocalyptic show. In fact, get rid of all of the walkers. There's no point, right? Because they're not using them anyway. I can't believe that they have gotten to such a point where they've literally just become a regular soap opera. It's just become that. There's no difference between it. The line used to be a little bit thicker. Now it's just it's completely melded together, and now there's no difference between them. Okay. That's basically all the terribly bad things that I have to say about this episode. So now let's just go over a generalization of what happened. So we see a flash forward of what happened from previous episode where she flicked on the lights, Madison. And then we just see people are at the gate, they're showing up there. And then Travis comes up, and Madison's so happy. And then they somehow are able to open up the gate so that he can slip through. But there was only like 2 people holding this side of the gate that was opening. And then on the other side, there's like 15 people shoving on that. What keeps this gate from just swinging open from that? If those were walkers, that would swing open. So you're telling me humans don't have the strength for that? That's just ridiculous. That gate would be like burst open. But let's move past the stupidity of that. All these people saw the light flick on, that means. So it seems odd to me that all of these people would be able to see that. They didn't necessarily have the lights on forever, did they? I mean, it seemed like it was just a couple of minutes. Okay. And then Travis talks to... I'm just going to talk about what happens in the future part of this episode, then we're going to go back. So Travis talks to Madison about how he's so regretful of this, and he misses his baby boy that. And then, because it's so intertwined with all of the other story, it's supposed to be like, oh, what's going on? What happened? How come he's not with Chris? Oh, why, what? We already know. Something happened. Chris gave up on Travis and left. And that's exactly what happened. So they wasted our time by trying to make it seem like this is some sort of mystery that we have to solve. This is not. There was not one moment of suspense in this situation that happened here, so there was no point in drawing it out like they did. And then Madison splits off from Travis after he acts like a biatch, and she just goes and talks to Alicia about her husband dying, which was just a complete waste of our time. We have heard this story about her husband's death, and that it was a suicide, and that is so wonderful. We did not actually need to see this scene at all. If they just referred to it, I would have been fine with that. The show would be better off for it, but instead we get like 10 minutes of them talking about it. There was no point to it. And then she's like, Alicia asks what was on the letter, and Madison's like, oh, you don't need to hear that. And then basically, what was on it was just he loves his family. That's it? That's what you couldn't just say? You had to hide this from your daughter? Why? The stupidity. The writing is terrible, but if that's not the only problem, for what's going on in the show, Madison is a complete idiot for not just saying what that letter had on it immediately. There's a suicide note. Okay. And then that's basically all that happens in that future snippet. And then we also see that Derek and Brandon go up to the gate and Chris isn't with them, so we're going to have to guess what happened. Oh, see, big cliffhanger. The finale's the next episode, so who knows what could happen. I can tell you what will happen right now. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maybe a little bit of a breakout here, a fight maybe, and then boom, the end. Even if it's the world's greatest episode, though, I'm not going to come back for the next season. This show is just so terrible. Unless I find some way to just see it all free, I am not coming back to this show at all. So this is my second to last review of Fear the Walking Dead, so enjoy that. Okay. And then after all of that future stuff, back in the past, we see right after the farmer gets shot, Travis is crying over his dead body, and then he goes and helps James. They do first aid. They find out that he's not healing well, so the guys decide that they should put him out of his misery. Travis, who was previously saying to Chris that he had no right shooting the farmer because they don't know these people, they don't need to protect them, suddenly he cares so much about this new guy, James. He did a 180 here, and suddenly he's so in love with this little baby man that he needs to coddle him, burp him, love him. Why? And then I guess it's supposed to be he cares about people. It's so wonderful. But I did not care to watch this. And seeing them on this farm talking for so long, it made me want them to just up and kill James. And when they eventually did, that was a bit of a relief. It was like, thank goodness. But since it's at the end of the episode, we know we're not getting anything else in this episode that will be interesting. So, big waste of our time. What they could have done is just patched him up, got him in the car, and then had a whole adventure out in the world. But instead, they stay on the farm the whole time. It's like watching Season 2 of The Walking Dead, only even boringer. I cannot stand it. Okay, so, and then, while Travis is protecting him, suddenly his son's coming over to his side, and he's like, "You're right, Dad, gee whiz. You were right the whole time. I'm on your side. Let's be all buddy-buddy again. Haha, I got you." And then they come in, burst in, hold him down, shoot the dude after he, like, begs a little, and then James sort of, after begging, he's like, "Do it, and give me mercy." And that's to make his friends feel better, I think, since he knows he's going to die anyway. So that shows that his character was not that bad. But anyway, they killed him, so there's no point. These guys are the jerks. They're the ones that we're left with. The new characters are basically ruined, and that's the way that we're getting this show now, which, pain in the arse, so. And then, basically, Chris leaves off with his friends, leaves Travis there as a whiny little girl. He yells at them, and then the end, basically. So, what do you guys think? I think it was an absolutely terrible episode. I cannot stand it. I could not stand it. I'm not coming back for another season. What about you? Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure to check out my other videos, and stick around for the second opinion little snippet at the end here. So, I'll see you guys in the next piece.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I'm Jerry's sister. Now, I've never done a review before, but this show was so bad, I had to voice my opinion on it. This episode alone was so boring, it made me nostalgic for the high-paced action in 90210. That's right, a soap is better than this. I say we should start a new trend where when a movie or a show sucks, we say, at least it's not Fear the Walking Dead. So anyway, my ranking for this episode is 1 out of 10. And my overall ranking for the show is 0 out of 10. It's just so terrible. Avoid it like the plague. That's all I have to say.